All right, welcome everybody. This is the SIG Compute weekly meeting. Today is June 3rd. Um, I will paste the URL to the agenda in the chat. And in the meantime, if anybody's new to this call uh, and would like to introduce themselves, please do it now. All right. I see we have a pretty packed agenda, which is great. The first one is a thief, and I actually already read it's pretty well written. So I mean everything is there, but I see a thief. I don't know if you want to still
Yeah,
give us a summary.
I brought this up in the web discussion last week, but at the time I hadn't fully thought through this. But essentially, the idea is that right now, post copy, in order to use post copy, you must set allow workload disruption to true. And actually, in fact, the fact that allow workload disruption is like an implicit dependency of post copy right now. The way the code is set up, there it also creates certain complications. Like if someone has allow workload disruption false, but has post copy true, then technically that's an invalid config. But right now there's no validation. That's a separate story. But essentially, what I'm saying is I think that we need to rethink through about how this is done because post copy doesn't necessarily result in like workload disruption. So the original motivation behind why we had allow workload disruption to true as a prerequisite for post copy is that when post copy is active, you have a chance to lose your workload because the VM's memory is split across two different hosts. So if post copy fails, something happens, then you can't just fall back to the source VM like in pre-copy. So that's one concern. Of course, my rebuttal to that would be that what are the chances that at least in the case when post copy is only active for a few hundred milliseconds, that just then you have a network issue causing you to lose the VM. And second, I also want to point out that QEMU actually provides a recovery mode for post copy in such a case, even though right now KubeVirt doesn't implement it. Now, the second point for why we do this is that while post copy is active, it fetches memory over the network, and that obviously has a bad impact on the workload if post copy lasts a while. But my rebuttal to that would be again that if you're only using post copy for a few hundred millisecond as a alternative to the stop and copy mechanism, like the 300 millisecond downtime, then academic literature actually shows that that has a lesser impact on the workload, i.e., it's better to just use post copy all the time if it's available instead of stop and copy, because that has a lower impact on the workload. So essentially, what I wanted to propose is that if like have some mechanism that you don't have to have allow workload disruption to true if you want to have a post copy duration that is equivalent to what the stop and copy would have been. For example, like if it's 300 milliseconds or less, the expected duration of post copy, then that shouldn't be considered a disruption.
So I was part of the design. I mean, I designed this with Radic basically, and that was just pretty recent. And it's unfortunate that it's not working out. Um, the idea behind allow workload disruption is a contract with the user that, hey, this is false by default, but if you set it to true, there is a chance that disruption will happen. Um, either just a pause, but a pause in production can be a pretty critical problem. But even a complete destroy of the VM, if, like you said, post copy fails, because what you wrote there is key. Cooper does not implement the recovery for post copy, and it's something that would be extremely difficult for us to design. But yeah, we know QEMU supports it, but we have no idea how to implement it on our end. Um, so yeah, the idea of this option is a contract. You set it to true. Uh, Bad things may happen, and um, that's true. Like you said, I mean, so you said that post copy lasts for milliseconds. Well, sometimes it can last a lot longer.
Right. So what my proposal would be that we can use the current network bandwidth, just like how QEMU would internally do it, right? Predict how long post copy is expected to last based on the remaining data and the current network bandwidth. And if it's expected to last only a few hundred milliseconds, then we don't consider that a disruption. Does that make
It's,
sense?
I don't know. It sounds like a very specific uh, special case. I don't know. I wonder what
Yeah,
others think about it.
I mean that's I would disagree that this is a special case. Essentially, what I'm saying is that what we can do is instead of stopping, like right now, how a normal migration works, migration where the dirty rate isn't that high is that we have the pre-copy phase, and then at the end, we're aiming to pause the VM for 300 milliseconds and transfer it over. What I'm saying is that it's in almost all cases, it's better instead of like pausing the VM is just to switch to post copy directly because the impact on the underlying workload is going to be less. And of course, there are also certain motivations with the stall detection feature I'm working on. It also helps with that, where with the stall detection, we now allow, in certain cases, downtimes to be a little bit higher than 300 milliseconds. And that also helps reduce workload impact in those cases too.
So maybe we want like some kind of sub option to allow workload disruption that says only if we consider it safe and I don't know because
Right,
like
right. It's
some
not
users some users will not accept the super low chance that their VM will crash like during those 300 milliseconds or whatever.
okay. Sure, that would be an acceptable solution to me, but um,
Mm,
the chances of that happening for the few hundred milliseconds are probably very, very low that you lose your network right then and
right.
there.
Ed, you want to add something?
I just wanted to ask, it's like, how do you know that, I mean, you started everything. How can you make sure that will not cause the disruption? I mean, that you are at the 300 millisecond boundary and everything. I don't understand how you can make it.
Well,
Uh,
that's exactly what pre-copy does, doesn't it? And what pre-copy does, or like the normal pre-copy pipeline in QEMU, that if QEMU thinks it can migrate the VM and start it within 300 milliseconds, it does the transfer. But even now, QEMU cannot say for a fact that it'll take exactly 300 milliseconds. In fact, it's usually off by a few dozen milliseconds. This is the exact same scenario here, except we're using post copy instead of stop and copy.
yeah, but that's not disruption. That's like it's a different disruption. It's like I'm pausing for more time and then I resume. But in
Right.
the worst case scenario is that you will just fail. You cannot recover the VM anymore.
Right. So what I'm saying is that stop and copy disruption. Uh, Academic literature shows that if instead of stop and copy you use post copy, the disruption, the impact on the workload is less. And second, to your point about the fact that you can, if the migration fails, if post copy fails, something happens to the network, you lose your VM. Again, the chances of that happening are pretty low. And I think if we can figure out a way to implement this recovery mode for post copy, then I think there's a very good case to be made that at least to implement the option that Jed said, that an alternate to allow workload disruption where we still allow post copy if we think it's safer, like a middle ground between workload disruption and like no disruption. maybe, for example, we could turn this into a string, like 3 options: no workload disruption, or unlikely workload disruption. I don't know.
I don't think you can
Well,
change
we can't change
API
the
like that.
API, right. But you get the point.
Yeah, yeah. To me, that would be ideal.
Yeah, it
Cool.
sounds like if you
Right.
are explicit, then it makes sense. Like if the user can express it, then yeah.
Awesome. Sounds like we agree. Um, all right. Next point is Web 144.
Yeah, which was about the reserved overhead thing that we discussed last week and probably previous one as well. But yeah, we prepared this to make a little bit more noise. Long story short, we were going to get this thing into beta, and the web for that was accepted for the next release. But during the development cycle, we decided that we were pushing it back to change the API, mainly because we would like to decouple bot sizing and memlock limits configuration that the bridge handler was doing. We all agreed on that. Technically, it makes sense. But now I'm trying to see what can we do. So Lee already sent draft BB, which is an extension to the existing BP, proposing some changes, which cover, I believe, all of the concerns that were listed in the discussions that we had. So, well, I just want to, bring it up and kindly ask people to have a look and and try to push that forward. Yeah, that's it, pretty much. So, yeah.
So are you just drawing attention to this, or is there a specific thing you want to actually discuss?
Make a little, brings a little bit of attention, and yeah, I mean, if someone has already some, like, I mean, we're not going to open a discussion if nobody else is up to date in the discussion. But if there's someone with a strong opinion about this and wants to share it, I will be happy to hear it and see what can we do about it. Because my main point here is that yes, we push this back, but if it would be possible, I would like to have whatever we do in alpha for the next release. It might be possible. I know it might not be possible, but I'm trying to accelerate a little bit of things around the topic. So yeah, bringing attention and begging for a little bit of help, I guess. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll have a look at the draft. I see it was written by Lee, who is going to be away for another.
Yeah, I will have like to discuss it with him, but he was away for a few days at least. So yeah.
Yeah, he might be coming back in 2 weeks, I guess. Yeah. Okay. We have a pull request that needs attention. Aurel, do you want to say anything about it?
As this is from an upstream user, I just wanted to raise attention to it.
Does it seem urgent or?
He discussed it several times in the upstream Slack Oh, but I see that Alex has received himself. Great, thank you.
Adding myself too.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And that's the end of the agenda, unless someone added something. Nope. Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss? All right. Well, thanks everyone for attending. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.